Hi there, welcome to the channel. If you don't know me, my name is Ethan, and I'm a photographer located in Portland, Oregon. I was born and raised here. I've been taking photos for a long time of the city, but just recently in the fall, my wife and I got married and we moved to a new area. Just in that change, my photography, I've noticed is kind of shifting to want to document more about where I live, but also just document more about my city and where I grew up, because if you know anything about Portland, it's a rapidly changing place, and someone who's kind of seen those changes from being a kid and now a grown up, I kind of want to preserve the time that I'm living in right now, because who knows what the city's gonna be like in a couple of years or what it could look like by the time I move, if that ends up happening. So I've noticed this shift in my photography, and now I want a place to document that and kind of see the growth and progression, both of my city, but also of myself. With these videos, my goal is to document the photos that I really like and see what's successful, but also to document the photos I think are really unsuccessful and seeing how I can improve and change, and kind of making this an open discussion between you, the viewer, and me, the photographer, and just letting you into kind of my mindset too of how I think about my photography and what inspires me. So that's the whole point of these videos. I'm just gonna open up a roll of film that I've shot recently, go through every single photo on that roll and see, yeah, just what I think is successful versus what I think isn't. And hopefully by the end of this project, when I'm old and gray, we'll see me go from photographer I am now to whatever I see next, and see just the change and the growth, the cycles, the rhythm. And I hope if that's interesting to you, you'll stick around. If it's not, there's plenty of other photography channels. You can go check them out too, but that's what we'll be focusing on here. So that sets up what we're doing. So without further ado, I'm gonna hop on the computer and we're gonna start going through some photos. And yeah, this first roll is from the fall, when kind of early on when my wife and I first moved out into this area we're living in now. So we'll check it out together and see what we like. Okay, so I've got my photos pulled up here. Like I said, we're just gonna go through starting on frame one. We'll go through the entire roll of film and we'll talk about what I like and what I don't like. So this was all shot on Ilford HP5 and it was shot on my Leica M5. So black and white, I'm a huge black and white guy, absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing on earth. And this was kind of the first roll that got me into black and white on Ilford HP5 specifically. Up to this point, I wasn't totally sold on the film stock, but I realized that was less about the film stock and more about how I was developing it and scanning my rolls. And after this roll, I kind of had gotten my scanning set up pretty down. So I'm a lot happier with this than I had with any other film stock before in terms of black and white. And I think it's, well, it was my primary until now I'm trying out Foam-Pan 400, but that's a whole other video. So this shot here, like I said, it's the beginning of the roll. We've got the burnt edge on the side there just from the light hitting it when I was loading the film, and I actually really like it on this photo. This is a shot from a park that's near our house that I really, really like. I love the trees in this area. Some of the trees are just absolutely gorgeous, and every time I walk through here, I have to take at least one or two pictures of them. So it's just super fun, like this log or something. I think that's kind of neat, but yeah, overall, I like it. I love the trees. I'm ready for our leaves to be back on our trees because it's obviously the middle of winter right now. So, but hopefully soon here, we're gonna start getting some leaves back. Oh, wrong direction. Preview of the end. All right, now we've got a picture of my lovely wife. I think this picture turned out great. She's super sharp. I love the blurred out background. I don't usually shoot with my Leica's lens like wide open. So it's getting to see like the bokeh, because this is probably all the way wide open at f2.5. So it's got some nice separation. Like I said, she's sharp. I love the contrast in the shot. I think right across here, there was a light leak that I had to kind of do some editing on to even things out. So I'll have to keep an eye out on that on my camera, make sure that those light leaks aren't peeking through too much, or if I have to get some light seals done and do some CLA on my Leica, which is something I'd love to put off as long as possible. So we'll see. Next photo. This one in my head, I was really excited about when I took the shot, but looking at it now, a couple of things that I would improve on or would change. Firstly, I think the top of the photo, these trees up here, way too bright, totally overexposed. I think this is a shot that I wish that the trees were darker. I think this top part is it's distracting. I think it's blown out in a way that I don't like. I kind of want my photos to kind of draw you in. And this one, I feel like your eye doesn't know where to go. Sarah's head is overexposed. You can't really follow the path. It doesn't feel balanced. This is someplace that is a part of that same park that I often walk, and I've taken a lot of photos here since, and this probably is one of the weaker ones of this area, but it's something I continuously am shooting, so we'll see if there's another roll at some point here that has better shots. But let's see what the next one is. This one, right off the bat, it's blurry. It's just, I missed focus entirely. I think at this point I was still pretty insecure using a rangefinder focusing, and I could have just shot focus to infinity, but I think I was trying to focus on a specific tree, but probably this one over here or something, but I missed it. So it would have been better if I just focused to infinity. Oh well. Contrast is nice. Like the lighting is fine, but yeah, it's just that missed focus totally kind of kills this photo for me, and I don't think it's super well balanced. I wish this path was moving in a different way, but you know, oh well. All right, we're in focus. So already we're doing leagues better than we were before. And this is like really well exposed for me. I like that the sky is bright, but you can still see what the clouds look like. There's dark shadows, but we don't lose like detail too much. So that's like great. This is like a perfectly exposed photo for me. I like the street. I like the trees. It might be a little off balance, but I'm not too upset about it. I like that this car here is kind of like your center anchor point. I think this house is one of my favorite houses in the neighborhood just because I think their windows look kind of funny. But anyways, this is a good picture. I like this one. This one works for me again. So this is just a random street neighborhood somewhere, and overall, I'm into it. This is one of my favorite photos from this entire roll, I'll tell you that. Right after probably the picture of my wife, there's this one, and I like this one so much it's on the banner of the YouTube channel. I just think this one, again, has like the perfect level of, it's got good, interesting like objects. I like particularly these two older cars, like this minivan that's totally in need of a wash. It's super gritty, and I love that you can see all that grit because of the sunlight hitting it. I love that we're getting the bright side of the house here, but the other part's in shadow. There's great texture. I love that we have this tree, like kind of at the third line here, kind of breaking up some of the space and gives us a foreground, and then midground we've got our background with the trees. This is like great. I think this is a fantastic photo. Yeah, just sunset light is just the best. You can't beat it. It's just so good. This is from an antique shop in town. It's one of my favorite places to visit because they always got good stuff. It's always dangerous. They got some good film cameras in there too. I haven't bought one from them yet. They haven't had the right one, so I've luckily not been tempted, but maybe at some point here I will. But they had this cool mirror, so I wanted to get like a little self-portrait shot. And I think the focus is a little soft and the lighting's a little funky, but I think overall, like the idea is there, and I love kind of the frame within a frame. I love that that's in the center. This only $50 sign I like, and I like this bookshelf kind of being, you know, giving you a lot of cool things to look at and bounce around through. So I like this photo. If I could retake it, I would, maybe with slightly different lighting, but not too bad. I overall, I do like this photo, even though there are some things I would change about it. I have a couple mirror shots here. So this is another one. This one, the lighting was just really tricky in the shop. So some of these come out dark, some of them come out light. This one was one that came out a little darker. It's pretty underexposed. There's nothing that's really bright except for the windows behind me. I think I'm decently exposed, but I wish you could just see more detail. I wish you could see more stuff in the shot. So not my favorite. This is one I want to get my wife in on. So she's in one frame, I'm in another. This one I actually shot 2 times. This is the darker of the 2 shots. And this one I was you know, I posed Sarah, I posed myself, got some stuff in frame that I liked, and then took the shot. We kept walking around, and then I realized that with the way my meter was going, I was like, oh shoot, I totally underexposed that picture, and I really wanted to see how it turned out. So we shot this second one here, and I tried to shoot way brighter. And I think I way overexposed it this time. So I think the perfect picture is in the middle of these, but if I had to choose one, the darker is the one that I prefer. I think the other one is just distractingly bright. So, you know, maybe in Lightroom I could tone it down a little bit, but you know, I just think it's too much for what's going on here. It's just kind of a little jarring for me. That same park earlier on the walk back, I got this shot of these benches. And like I said, I just love the trees in this park. These old trees have these really great branches, and I love the shape of their leaves and how they hit the light. So this was when the sun was just about setting, and yeah, this one just came out super good. I've taken this exact same shot at different times of year on different cameras, and this is probably one of the first ones I've taken, but since then I've replicated this like with snow and other weather conditions and lighting, and yeah, it's a picture I've taken a lot of and will continue to take a lot of probably. I want to maybe get one of every season with it, so we'll see. All right, so this was a ways away. This was in like Beaverton, and I was walking around at this park / school in the evening because I was meeting up with some friends in the area, but I was there way earlier than I needed to, so I decided I'd go take some shots. This picture I was super happy with just because I was about to take the shot without the cyclist, and I was like, man, a cyclist or someone walking would be so great. And then this guy on a bike just comes out of nowhere and loops around on the trail. And so I was like, ready to go, got the shot. I think this one's a little soft again, but overall, like, it was what I was hoping it would be. I like it. I like the breaks in the trees. Looks nice. Just again, it could be a little sharper, but yeah, you don't win them all. And so this is that school that was next to the park. I like the chain link fence. I like the detail it gives, and I like that we get kind of these different, you know, like 3 different sports kind of all included here between the football, soccer, and baseball. Yeah, I don't think this one stands out to me as anything incredible, but I think it's technically good. But you know, creatively, I want a little bit more out of it. But overall, I do like this photo. I wish the lights were on. Maybe I think that's the one thing I feel like I always miss is at these sports areas, the lights are never on like their big high beams. And I feel like that would make it pretty neat looking, but oh well. Basketball court. I like the geometry of this building, like the roof. I love the jagged lines there. I wish that was a bit more in the shot. Maybe if I shot this horizontally instead of vertically, I would have gotten more of that. Or if I just had tried to not include the basketball hoops and tried to just focus on that geometry. I think I was trying to fit too many things into this photo. It's just a little off kilter, but yeah, like I said, I think I was trying to do more than I needed to. And sometimes I think 35 millimeter vertically, it's kind of an odd aspect ratio. I think it's a little weird. I think it works a whole lot better horizontally. Not that it doesn't work vertically. I just think horizontally is its strongest. That's just me. This is a portrait of my buddy Jordan. We make movies together, and we were shooting a movie. And so he was just there on set. He was dressed up for a character he was playing, and I thought he looked neat. And the light was really just starting to go down, so I wanted to get a portrait of him real quick. And it was just super gloomy out. And so we got this shot real quick. And it's underexposed, but in like a good way. This is good underexposure. I really love this shot. This one turned out perfect. I don't shoot portraits on 35 millimeter, like ever, like 35 millimeter lens, I mean, which is my preferred focal length. I just love 35 millimeter. It's the only lens I have for my Leica, and it's the only lens I really care to have. I don't generally feel the need to go tighter with it. I like to include a lot of the environment, and I like that the trees almost are kind of caving in on Jordan a little bit. It's pretty subtle, but you can just kind of see like this curve in around him. I just really like that. And I love the leaves on the ground. The suit is just perfect. If he was wearing anything else, I don't think it'd be as impactful, but this is like kind of spooky, a little Twilight vibes, like Twilight Zone vibes. So yeah, this picture I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites. These next two shots, I know what these are. These are total duds. A buddy of mine was doing a Halloween party, and they're like in a band, so they're doing this live set. I dressed up as a photographer, like hipster photographer, which you could argue is what I dress up as every day, but that was what I had ready to go. So that's what I was at this Halloween party. These shots are way too dark. It was super dim. I was kind of just like holding the camera up over my head and praying that I'd get something. So they're all in frame, but it's just so dark. And then the second photo, while it's exposed a little better, it's got some good energy, honestly. This one, kind of re-looking at it, I like a lot more. I think the first one, I didn't have the shutter open as long, but the second one, I was like, screw it, there's gonna be motion blur. Just, I let it happen. And it came across pretty cool. I like the energy. So, I like that you can see all the band. You can see even the drummer, Joe Henry, back there. So, yeah, this one came out pretty good. This one's pretty rad. So, of the two. But I don't usually shoot live music on film, so maybe I should do that more. All right, Imperial Paints. This is a shot I took in my car, stopped at a red light. I don't recommend doing that, but I was feeling very, very impulsive in the moment. And if I'm honest, looking at it, it's a picture of exactly what it is. I think it's a cool area. Like, I love this old building, kind of this industrial part of downtown Portland. But if you look down here in the corner, my car mirror, you can see these telephone poles down here. And if I'm honest, I wish I got more of that in frame. And so I kind of almost be like framed here over and gotten more of that light. So like the building would be cut off like at the paint sign or something. I don't know. That I feel like would give a bit more of a, I don't know, something. I'm interested in what's going on here, and I'm bummed that I don't get to see it. So other than that, again, it's just a picture of exactly what it is. It's Imperial Paints. So not great, not terrible, just is. We're back at the park again. I'm on another walk. I was trying to get my steps in. And in this park, there's this kind of like swampier area, and there's this like kind of half fallen tree. And it looks super neat because it's like growing diagonally. I just center framed it. I like this kind of like patch of light in the middle here. I don't know how to get rid of all this. So sorry if I'm like moving my mouse and covering this, but this patch of light here under the tree with this like slightly lighter grass. It looks pretty good. I wish the sky had more detail, but it's just blown out white. I think that's what it was that day. I think it was just one of those uber gray days. So that's okay. This picture's all right. Probably another shot that I'll continue to photograph throughout the year. This was a shot that I intentionally wanted upside down. So I kind of just liked how the stream that ran by this tree kind of captured the light and got this cool reflection of these twigs and branches, and then you have the grass right there on the edge. So I flipped it upside down. Composition definitely works a lot better that way. Do I think it as a whole works? Yes and no. I like the subject, and I like the exposure. I think it kind of makes you pause and try and figure out what it is. I don't think it gives up what it is right away, but at the same time, I think the composition isn't as strong. So I don't know. I'm like half and half on this picture. Okay, we're back at the pathway, but you can notice it was probably a while between getting this roll started versus when I finished it, because the leaves are all gone now and it's a lot drier. And you can see this path here, and the lighting is quite a bit different. I like the lighting of the other one more, but I like the composition of this a lot more. I like how you get this detail of like the bench in the background there, the path on the other side with these cool little lights that are like perfect for Halloween. So I think, and you still get the bridge in the background there where the path ends. This one just works a little better for me. What would make it even better though is if I got this at like sunrise, because the sun would be rising over here. And so you get these long shadows cast from the trees through the leaves. I think that'll just give some extra texture and contrast. This is pretty gray, but I like it. Like, I think compositionally this just holds up so much better. So this one sits well with me. It's not a great photo, but I think it's executed better than earlier in the roll. Converse and leaves, but poorly framed. I'm blocking them with my shoes, so it's just there. It's just one of those, like, it's just a cliche shot. It is what it is. I do like the texture of the leaves, though. I think it's that time of year where all the leaves have fallen, but we haven't gotten much rain yet, so the leaves are still like super crunchy. You can see that they're just very light, so it looks like there's a lot. So that's okay, and I think the contrast is nice. But it's just like, what is happening on the lower part of that picture? Rangefinders are hard. That's really what it comes down to. If you had an SLR, it'd be a little easier, but it is what it is. It's one of those lamps in that park. So we got a little closer with it, and I just kind of framed the dead branches around it. It's kind of very Halloween vibes of, like, it's like a movie poster about this spooky lamp in a park or something where a ghost haunts. That's kind of how the vibe I get from it. I think it's pretty cool. And I like that it's high contrast. Like, it's pretty much just black and white, not much gray, but the gray that we do get is like on the lamppost itself, and it's pretty well exposed compared to everything else where it just kind of falls off into black or is surrounded by white. So I think that's pretty cool. I like this one. Rebel youths on their bikes. This is one of those shots that I wish I was closer and I wish was horizontal. And I wish you could see this dude back here more. Maybe if this guy on his scooter was over there. But I like that the scooter's in the middle. I don't know. You just can't see him very well because of the bushes. It's one of those shots that's just, the subject matter would have been really cool. It's very like Stranger Things, 80s town where the kids just ride around their bikes everywhere in the neighborhood. But this ain't it. It's just kind of weird. I do like, though, this kind of crack here in the corner that's kind of like this leading line into the frame. And you kind of get these power lines. It kind of creates like this convergence down the road. I think that's kind of neat. I just wish and also they're just, let's zoom in here. Yeah, they're just out of focus a little bit. I just didn't nail it. But, this one's kind of cool. I like this kind of like really early, like Christmas decorations. It was probably early November at this point. But yeah, they're already got their Christmas decorations. I love the Keep Christ in Christmas, the nativity scene. I just think it's very like American holidays, like the battle of the two Christmases. So I think it's kind of cool to see this one. So just snapped it. It was super quick. Just was on a walk and saw it and was like, yep, click. And I totally nailed the focus. Super sharp. So well exposed. I just think it looks nice. I love how the trees kind of frame, like we have this very natural frame between the trees and like the cinder blocks or the stone walkway there. Pretty neat. You got the ferns. Power plant. I don't know. There's not much to say about this picture. This maybe would be something cool shot on like Lomo Metropolis or Lomo Turquoise, one of the weird color film stocks. Black and white, it's okay. Sorry. Yeah, I just think it's fine. It could be better. I think the framing's a little odd. I think it's kind of off kilter and it doesn't really like draw me in too much. This one I like a bit more. I like all the signs. I like that keep out guy getting electrocuted one. Instead of the Tiger power grid thing somewhere. But yeah, this one's cool. I like you got really great texture on like all the fencing and everything, all this metal. And you get great signs, great warning signs. Perfect. Again, kind of a little post-apocalyptic. We're back in downtown Tigard. We got the ticket sale for the car wash, and I got super lucky with the ticket sale sign being on there, because it's like not on there anymore. I guess the ticket sale is done, so now it just says car wash. So I'm glad I got the whole thing. But this is another shot that I wish was horizontal, because there's just nothing going on down here. There's nothing going on up here. So all the cool stuff is happening with the car wash, and I feel like over, because it's like a mechanic shop. So like if this car wash, like if this was the edge of the frame and it kept expanding horizontally this way, I feel like it would be a more interesting image, and I would like it more, because I love the like everything else about it. It's just the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is important. Yeah, it's important in movies, it's important in photography. My two favorite are probably 3x2, like 35 millimeter film, or like square aspect ratio. I would love to get into panoramic stuff, and I kind of do. I'll get into more of that on another video, but you know, I think I've become just more and more hesitant about shooting vertically on 35 millimeter film, because I just think it doesn't work as well. Bus station. It's a place that I think when I was taking this, I was just kind of experimenting with it. I think I know that I'm going to go back here and get some shots, because it's a really cool area. It's a great, we have all these TriMet bus stations all around the city, but I really like this one. I think it's just neat. It kind of feels as old as it is, like it's probably was built 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and it kind of just feels that old. And I like the build, I like the structure, and I like, you know, it's kind of very bustling usually, because a lot of people, but at the time I was walking past here, there was probably maybe 4 people in the whole center. I didn't feel like hanging out very long and snapping a lot of pictures, people just sitting around waiting. So I just kept walking by and kept going down the road, found this cool spot. This is probably a better vertical 35 millimeter, just because that pole kind of fills in the skyline a little bit more, so it's not so empty. The road still is a little, you know, empty, but that's okay. This one's a better vertical one. And here's another vertical one that I think would have been better if it was horizontal, but it's just this dude at the same bus station. He's got his bike. I think I was probably walking and I snapped this photo without looking through the viewfinder. And I think I was just trying to do some range focusing. And yeah, I think, let's see, how in focus did I get it? Yeah, you can see there's quite a bit of motion blur, just because of, I was probably shooting at like maybe a 25th of a second. And so I don't know, when I was walking, it just wasn't as sharp as I'd prefer. That happens. Like I said, this is a whole spot that I'm gonna probably have to revisit at some point and just kind of do a whole roll on. We'll see. The bike path, head on. I know this one doesn't stand out to me as much. I think the vertical is fine. Like, I like that it's kind of this infinite perspective, but it's just not a lot going on. I don't shoot a lot of people on the street in like smaller towns. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm not comfortable. I'll shoot more of that kind of stuff maybe if I'm downtown and it's a bit busier, like downtown Portland. Downtown Tigard is still pretty quiet in comparison, so I just don't do a lot of it. So that's what this all is. Yeah, this is one of those like industrial parks. It's pretty neat, but I want to kind of get in there more. I know this is the only shot, so that's why I probably ding it, just because if I had more photos to go around this photo, I think I would like it more. Like I was doing like a little series on industrial parks in Portland, but this one is just, it is what it is. So the lighting just is very meh, so it doesn't help. But sometimes it does help. This photo is great. I know this photo and I love it. It's these 3 cars, 2 of them are Volkswagen. I don't know what the middle one is, but it's these old cars. And I remember taking this photo and I wasn't sure how it was gonna turn out because the lighting to me looked way different than how the lighting came out on the film in the best way possible. Because to me, it looked like the plants, like this kind of outer area was gonna be really bright. But it turned out it kind of got super dark and made all the cars in this garage pop. I love all the wood over here, it kind of pulls you in, like kind of like up the roof here into this little triangle. Like it just makes you look right here. And every time I've gone past here since, I wanted to recreate this on one of my digital cameras. And they got other cars parked there. I've never gone by here since with just these 3 cars. So I am like so happy that this picture turned out the way it did. And if it hadn't, I would have been so mad because if I saw anything even half of this, I would be like, oh, I should go back and do it again. But every time I've gone back since, I haven't been able to do the photo. So this is very lucky. I'm jazzed on this one. All right, and now we've got this house here that is right next to where those cars are. It's actually the same house. And it's kind of near the park that I had that shot earlier of the big tree right here and the little bench next to it. All the same area. Let's do these big loops. But this is probably a more successful shot of vertical 35mm film aspect ratio. I think the mailbox and the lawn here kind of fills the frame well, and you get some texture with the road and all that. But also the sky is filled up with these trees. Things are kind of all collectively moving upwards. Like the mailbox is moving up, the house is going up, the trees are going up. They're all kind of arrows pointing upwards. So I think it kind of justifies a vertical aspect ratio compared to some of the other photos I don't think can justify it. So this works for me. The lighting I think works for me. I like that it's a little darker and a little moodier. I think that kind of helps for it otherwise being a pretty flat gray image. You still have a lot of good contrast without it being too muddy or gray. I think this all kind of comes together well for me, and it almost feels like medium format just because of the softness of this, but the sharpness of this. It feels like you have like a narrower depth of field, And I feel like that. I feel like that look happens more on medium format than it does on 35mm. So it kind of feels medium format without being medium format to me. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does to me. Anyways, this shot was pretty much filler. I was trying to just get through my roll. I think I was kind of wanting to switch over to something else. And so I was just trying to get it done. And I still had like shots left after this. So I wasn't successful, but you just have these little birch branches. And I was just trying to practice like range focusing as close as I could. And so I found these tiny little branches and I just wanted to see if I could do a small target. And so I have these little branches. I don't like the bokeh as much behind this. I think it's not as great. Like these trees just look kind of muddy to me. It's kind of all really flat. I think the branches themselves are kind of cool and spooky. Like this middle one here kind of looks like a weird Halloween eyeball with something grown out of it. So it's, there's give and take in it, but overall, I could tell I was kind of losing steam here. And then the last 2 photos are like these self-portraits I was trying to do because I just wanted to see how I liked this lens as a self-portrait thing. And I was just trying something out with I think also a speed light or something, but I definitely was not successful. Like I'm way too underexposed. You can't see much of anything. The flash is not at a good angle. I'm like cutting my face in half, which could be its own cool look, but yeah, I have this lamp behind me. It's just not working. I do like that you can see some of the texture of my sweater, but yeah, this isn't working. The same photo, or the same notes on the other photo, I don't think I changed my settings. I think I thought my settings would be good enough, but they just weren't. And so this is just kind of weak, but self-portraits are hard, especially when they're on film. You can't tell what you're doing. So it is what it is. So yeah, but that is the end of the roll. We got through all 30, I think it's 37 photos. Usually I get 37. Yeah, so let's recap. All right, so that was a pretty successful roll of HP5. Usually, I'm happy if I get even 4 shots that look good to me or capture kind of what I'm going for when I'm out there making photos. So these for me, this roll was kind of a pretty successful one. There are some shots in there that I was trying new things on that probably didn't work out that great. But there's a couple of shots in there that I think kind of pulled through and got what I was going after. It'd be kind of a bummer if there was nothing in there that was good. So luckily, I'm pretty excited on some of the pictures in there. So if this style of video is something that you like, leave a comment down below. It lets me know kind of how to format these videos. I'm still definitely playing around with how these videos are gonna look in the future, what I'm gonna try next. I've got some footage from a road trip that I'm sifting through right now, and I have like 5 rolls of film that are in a lab getting developed right now, so hopefully I'll get to see a whole bunch of new film that is pretty recent. So those are kind of what the next videos on this channel are gonna be all about. So if you wanna see more stuff from me, hit subscribe, stick around, and we'll see you in the next video.